A bit of good news, bad news on the topic of abortion specific to Texas. So we've been tracking this lawsuit that 13 women have filed against the state over their abortion ban. Effectively, that state, like some of the ones who've done their bans, has exceptions for instance, health. If it's medically necessary, you're allowed to get the abortion. But as we've been saying for months now, those mean effectively nothing in practice. They likely will not save you suffering and potentially death. They're designed to make it a little bit more easy to sell as a concept. We're not heartless. We're not gonna let someone actually die, except that they very much are. And so the good news is that a judge ruled on Friday that needs to be stopped, basically. That at least for now, the doctors who provide abortions for people whose lives or health are in danger will be able to still do that, and they won't have to worry about being thrown in prison. Basically, it broadens and clarifies what existed as a very vague exception in the state's bans. It also temporarily bars state officials until the full case is decided. So all this would be temporary from prosecuting doctors who, in their quote, good faith judgment and in consultation with the pregnant person, determine that an abortion is medically necessary. Now that would seem to be literally the bottom floor of a medical exception. If the doctor and the patient think it's medically necessary, that's what makes it medically necessary. That is not what was allowed under the exception prior to this. And as you'll soon see, going forward, will still not. But anyway, the judge, Jessica Mangrum, said that the uncertainty regarding the scope of the medical exception and the related threat of enforcement in Texas's abortion bans has created an imminent risk for doctors who will have no choice but to bar or delay the provision of abortion care to women who require, or persons who require the procedure to prevent death or serious health risks. So that was good. A judge who seems to understand the limitations of the law as written. Unfortunately, the Texas Attorney General's office said later that day that they would appeal the ruling, which for some reason immediately puts the order on hold. Not the actual appeal, but the fact that they're appealing it puts it on hold. And anyway, they're saying that it's an activist Austin judge. And I love that. Activist has always been such an obviously stupid and vapid thing that they throw against a judge who interprets the law in a way that they don't like. But in this case, the judge is just saying, you said you want there to be an exception, Texas GOP. I'm saying there has to be an exception. And to them, that's being an activist judge, which sort of proves the point that we've been saying this whole time. They don't intend those exceptions to actually exist. But Francesca, what do you make of this back?
I mean, absolutely. This is what happens when people who don't have uteruses legislate against people who do. To say nothing of big government, to say nothing of the utmost violation of privacy that these anti-abortion laws are, which by the way was the entire precedent upon which Roe v. Wade was established, is our right to privacy, our right to make these decisions between ourselves, our families, and our doctors. And a lot of those decisions are medical decisions, right? As in the case of these women who in most, I believe in all of the cases, wanted to be parents, wanted to have a healthy pregnancy and have a healthy baby. And because they were denied critical abortion care, they nearly bled out in their cars and they nearly died. So, and this is the question is, what is it gonna take? Do you need dead bodies? Do you need them to pile up outside of your door, Attorney General? Like, is that what will convince you or no? Or most likely it won't, because it is the hypothetical principle of some made up thing that you have in your head or in your stupid little book that you've decided means that a life is a life. And it has no regard for on the ground, pregnant people, what they go through, what it is every single damn day. Like, look, if you wanna shadow like a gynecologist, OBGYN, like if you wanna shadow for 3 years and be like, and just assess, gather some information, then maybe I'll let you legislate, or I will take you seriously when you do try to legislate against people's body. But instead, yeah, it's all in theory, and in practice, people are dying.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. Again, it's gonna come down to the appeals, but we all know theoretically where this could go. We know the obvious religious zealots that they've packed the Supreme Court with. So, don't get your hopes up necessarily, but there are along the way some bits of good news, albeit brief. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.